Hey guys, in this video we're going to take you on an RV trip into the beautiful state of California and attend a Cal Bears game at the University of California, Berkeley, where the students run naked through the libraries. More on that later. But first I want to talk about how we got to California. All right, we have just officially turned on to Highway 50, the loneliest highway in America. And at the moment, not too lonely. Give it a few minutes. Highway 50, also known as the loneliest highway in America. Highway 50 stretches across Utah and Nevada, and it is a fantastic way to get to California from Salt Lake City. I bring this up because it really makes a point about RV travel. A lot of times when we think about the RV experience, of course we think about being in beautiful campsites. But the travel days can be fun and enjoyable if you do them right. I really feel like I'm traveling, truly traveling, when I'm on a road like this. We're out here pretty much by ourselves, and it's just beautiful views out to the horizon in every direction. Yes, it's a little bit desolate, I guess, but you really feel like you're having an experience as opposed to being on yet another interstate in bumper-to-bumper traffic. Don't get me wrong, we've taken plenty of interstates over the years, but whenever we have an opportunity to take a highway less traveled, we take it. And if you have the luxury of time in your RV journeys, I really encourage you to take these roads that are not very popular because, first of all, you're not going to have a lot of traffic to deal with. And when I'm towing our RV rig, traffic is like half the battle from a mental stress standpoint, you know, because you're constantly having to monitor the other vehicles around you. You've got to be very careful with your lane changes and so forth. On the loneliest highway, we really didn't have too many of those concerns. For many, many miles, you're just traveling across wide open desert and you're not really encountering too many other travelers. And something that surprised us about this road a bit is the elevation. We've been at more than 7,000 feet of elevation and we're going down a pretty steep grade of about 6%. We've got a couple of semi trucks in front of us and 3 vehicles. But you can see there's pretty steep drop-offs. And I'm sure at night, this could not possibly be well lit. Although they do have reflectors framing the side of the highway, which is nice. It's very beautiful, but I would think, you know, if you're not careful, this could be a dangerous stretch of road. Definitely want to make sure your brakes are in good working order and use that engine brake and your tow haul mode and your lower gears. Use your lower gears. So is it engine brake or exhaust brake? I think we have an exhaust brake. I want to clarify because I know there will be someone in the comments, you don't have an engine brake, you have an exhaust brake. Well, gotta keep all the trolls happy. So here's a look at our campsite last night here along the loneliest highway in Nevada. There are still some things in this world that are free and wonderful, and this is one of them. We have a large, spacious, and well-appointed site. It is an unpaved gravel site, but we do have a little concrete outdoor living space, shall we say, with an awning, a metal picnic table, a grill, and a fire pit on the other side. And here in the back of the site, we have an area designated for tent campers. As you can see, this is a really large site. In general, this is a very beautiful area, and in keeping with the loneliest highway theme, it's a little bit lonely. But I like solitude, And a little bit of loneliness doesn't really bother me. So this is a wonderful place to stop for the night. Total cost for this site, $0.00. Here's a really unusual and lovely memorial to a man named Ron Basso, who was a land management employee who was instrumental in the planning and development of this site for all the public to enjoy. Ron will always be remembered by his family, friends, and fellow employees. It's nice to see Ron's work remembered in this way. Now, there are a few resources scattered here and there. Premium soy sauce. None of that mediocre generic soy sauce. Only the premium stuff. I gotta admit, I don't fully get the appeal of casinos. Is anybody really winning? I never felt that we were so far away from civilization that we couldn't get help if we needed it, but I also never felt any sense of pressure from traffic around us, and I loved the scenery. And of course, that's the other great benefit to taking some of these scenic highways. By the way, as we watch the sunset here on the Loneliest Highway, I would have to say that the road quality on this highway overall has been very good. The quality of the asphalt, haven't really encountered any potholes or, massive imperfections and problems with the road, which is more than I can say for most interstates. The Loneliest Highway has probably been a slower route to our destination, but sometimes speed isn't everything. You got to enjoy the journey. If you don't enjoy the journey, what is the point of life? I would tow on lonely highways every day if I could. Now, once we arrived in California, which is always a highlight of our annual RV travels, we had the luxury of mooch docking at our friend Vinnie Lamica's estate. What? Of course, we've been featuring Vinnie in our videos for more than a decade here on Long Long Honeymoon. Vinnie has a fantastic Airstream repair facility called Vinnies North Bay Airstream Repair. And while we were in town, we got to tour the new Vinnies at Depot Park, just outside Sacramento. It's been a lot of fun over the years to watch Vinnie grow his business from literally just working out of the back of his truck to having this fantastic facility that handles everything from ceramic coating to, of course, Airstream repair to even custom cabinetry and panel repair. So we'll be talking a lot more about what Vinnie's got going on there in the future. For this video, I really want to focus on California and create kind of a love letter to the state of California. Reason number one to love California, the weather. California consistently has fantastic weather, really throughout the state. Of course, Southern California is internationally famous for having almost perfect weather, especially you San Diego people. Come to California and typically the air is crisp and dry. It's a low humidity environment, which by the way means fewer insects buzzing around. And the weather is just so often so comfortable. Today, for example, it's about 65 degrees, sunny. Really couldn't be more pleasant. That makes California a really pleasant place to be. It's enjoyable to be outside in California. And that really has a big influence on your overall outlook on life. When it's comfortable to go outside, really improves your mood, makes you a happier person to spend time outside.
Sorry, buddy.
You Think you're gonna get a treat, don't you? Wow. I'm sorry, buddy. I don't really have anything for you. Reason number 2 to love California: the landscape and natural environment. California is blessed with an incredible variety of beautiful scenery. It's one of the only places on earth where you can go snow skiing in the morning and then go frolic on a sandy beach in the late afternoon. You can do both in the same day. You've got mountains, you've got beaches, you've got rivers, lakes and streams, desert valleys, and just scenic vistas from the top of the state down to the bottom. Oh, and you've also got those gorgeous redwoods. Redwood trees are phenomenal, and there's just so many unique opportunities to get out and enjoy that beautiful weather in California with some equally stunning scenery. Third reason to love California: opportunity. You know, I originally moved to California back in the 1990s because of the unique opportunities that are only available in California. California's economy is huge, and whatever business you happen to be in, you can find it in the Golden State. Back when I was in the comedy business, the first time I ever stepped on stage in a comedy club was in California at the Comedy Store on Sunset Strip, where I introduced Richard Jenny at a Playboy event. Can you believe that? And almost 20 years ago, when I first became interested in making movies, I went to California and I attended a film school that allowed me to shoot short films on the Universal Studios backlot. Only in California are you gonna find these kinds of resources. In California, you never really know what awaits you around the corner. More on that naked run in a minute. A fourth reason to love California: the people. As a general rule, people of California are just great. I've met so many wonderful people in the state over the years and have made so many friends and so many special memories. California has a population of around 40 million people, so you can't really generalize anymore. Suffice to say, there are a lot of wonderful people living there, and there's so much variety in the state. For example, when we were in Berkeley, we noticed that there was a Burmese restaurant. You know, a few years ago, Chrissy and I were fortunate enough to visit Myanmar, also known as Burma, and we really loved touring the country of Myanmar. In fact, for me personally, I think the trip to Burma was my all-time favorite travel experience. So you come back to the United States, and where are you going to find Burmese culture here? Well, if you're in Berkeley, there's a great little restaurant you can visit. Welcome to Royal Rangoon. That is owned and operated by Burmese Americans serving Burmese food, which is delicious, by the way. So that's the kind of thing you can find in California. When you have almost 40 million people in a state, you're going to have people from all over the world. Can you say Mingalaba?
Sure.
Yeah. I've been in a lot of different states in this country, and I haven't run into too many Burmese restaurants. But in California, there is so much diversity and variety, and so many people who come there from all over the world, you can get a little bit of everything. I want to take a moment to tell you a quick little story because it really ties in to our visit to the Burmese restaurant in Berkeley. Frankly, there aren't a whole lot of Western tourists in Burma to begin with. That's one reason I like it, is because I like going places where we stand out and feel a little bit exotic. But of course, you have to be cautious at times. And we were at this temple on Mandalay Hill in the city of Mandalay in Burma. We were approached by a man who had a proposition for us. He claimed to be an English teacher, and he wanted us to visit his class and speak some conversational English with his students. He claimed he was a teacher, but he had no school affiliation. He wanted us to meet him at a private residential address in some neighborhood on the outskirts of Mandalay. Now, as many of you know, several years ago, I actually worked as an English teacher overseas in Slovakia. Conversational English is a great way for students to practice their speaking skills and their vocabulary. So we agreed to go meet this man and sit down with him and talk to some students. After leaving the temple in Mandalay Hill, I honestly began to second guess myself and my decision to go to this meeting. We had no idea exactly what we were walking into. We were just trusting that this guy was who he said he was. So often when we travel, we put our guard up and you're worried about what could happen. Like, are we walking into some sort of trap? But we did not listen to those voices inside our heads. Later that afternoon, we hopped into a taxi cab, handed the driver the address, and he took us to the street where this residence was supposedly located, but we could not find the house. So we ducked inside this little cafe on the street, and I will never forget the next few moments. We were in this random neighborhood on the outskirts of Mandalay, Burma. We walk into this cafe, and everything in the cafe stopped. I mean, everybody who was dining or having coffee or whatever stopped what they were doing and stared at us. The kitchen staff and the cook leaned out from the kitchen to stare at us. And you could just read it on their faces. What the heck are these two people doing in this neighborhood in Mandalay, Burma? Suffice to say that people who look like us don't show up in that neighborhood very often, if ever. And at this point, I'm wondering if we've made a big mistake. So we messaged this guy who claimed to be a teacher and said, hey, we can't find the place. Can you come get us? And sure enough, 1 minute later, he shows up, his smile beaming. He laughed and he took us to meet with his students in one of their homes. And what followed was one of our favorite experiences in Burma. Just hanging out with these young students and speaking English with them, getting to know more about them and their culture, and teaching them a little about our culture. But something we discovered during this particular meeting was a special Burmese recipe called fermented tea leaf salad, which is delicious. And of course, we absolutely loved it. And when we came back to the United States, I guess we kind of thought that may be the last time we ever have fermented tea leaf salad. Well, no! In California, you will find some Burmese restaurants, especially around that Bay Area, because there are so many Burmese immigrants who have chosen Northern California to make their home. Travel done right will give you a superpower. An uncanny ability to connect with other people wherever you go.
He said you went my country?
Yes.
Really?
I should say Jezuba. You all right? Jezuba?
So where are you from? Where's your hometown?
I'm from Rangoon.
Rangoon, yeah.
Mama.
Where's your Tanaka? Tanaka.
Everywhere.
Yes, I can't find it.
Yeah.
My wife, she loves fermented tea leaf salad.
It's my favorite.
her
So
favorite.
delicious.
Thank you.
Nice to meet
Jezebah. I know
you.
Mingalaba and Jezebah. That's my 2 words. 2 very important words. 2 important words. Thank you so much.
Yes, my name
Yeah.
is Christy.
Christy.
Yes.
Oh, nice to meet
Nice
you.
to
I'm
meet you.
AA.
I'm Sean.
Sean, AA.
E.
Yeah. Nice
Very nice to meet you. We will recommend your restaurant.
Now, how about the game day experience at Berkeley itself? Well, we did manage to tour around campus just a little bit, and I know the Berkeley campus kind of gets criticized a little bit for being maybe a little bit disjointed architecturally, and that there's some really traditional areas and some more modern areas. It looked very pleasant to me, and I even noticed some areas of campus that almost seemed like you were out in the woods, like with log cabins and so forth. So I don't know the full history of all that. As for the game day experience itself, I found it to be refreshingly normal, although in classic Berkeley tradition.
New at 10, over a dozen people are now in custody after UC Berkeley says their demonstration delayed the school's football game before today's game between Cal and USC kicked off.
Now, you know that Berkeley has a long history of free expression. In classic Berkeley tradition, the kickoff of the Cal-USC game was delayed by a group of student protesters who decided to protest right out there on the field on the 50-yard line.
But other than that one protest, honestly, totally normal football game, totally normal football environment, laid back, enjoyable for the most part. Yeah, there were a few quirks here and there, but it felt consistent with every other football game we've been to around the country this fall in terms of the context, the traditions, and for the most part, the behavior of the participants.
Yeah, I mean, the fan support was the same. People were just as fired up about football here as they have been in every other state we've been to.
In the media and social media, we tend to focus on the extremes and extreme behavior, and
Media focuses on our differences instead of what makes us similar, and there are a lot of similarities here.
I did notice a few little quirks that go to sportsmanship. USC was frequently mocked by the Berkeley fans for being the University of Spoiled Children. I definitely saw that on some posters, and I think University of Spoiled Children was in a chant or two that the students were chanting. So I thought that was kind of humorous. Now, as for the game itself, we were treated to yet another incredible college football game. And actually, the Cal Bears were on top for most of the game. And you know, going into this particular game, we had not seen a home team lose a contest. Well, all that changed.
so the Bears really played a fantastic game, and at one point we were winning by 14 points in the fourth quarter. But turnovers really killed our chances, and we lost a heartbreaker. So the long honeymoon string of good luck and watching the home team win appears to have come to an end.
And then after the game, something kind of strange happened in that the two bands kind of squared off in a weird battle of the bands. Now, the USC band was in their location inside the stadium. The Cal band was out on the field. And it's like the Cal band was performing for a while, and then the USC band would perform, and it was almost like they were competing, and it almost seemed like there was a little bad blood between the bands. So I don't really know if that's some kind of tradition or that's just one school ribbing another school, rubbing it in just a little bit. Probably wasn't the nicest display of sportsmanship, shall we say. Now, about that running naked through the library. Yes, on this channel, of course, we must explore the unique traditions that we discover in different colleges and universities around the country.
Apparently there is a tradition here at Berkeley during the dead week when the students are preparing for final exams. They will remove their clothes and run naked through the various libraries here.
This tradition was started back in the 1970s, so it's been going strong for about 50 years. And you gotta hand it to these students. It was probably relatively easy to pull this off in the 70s and 80s, but in these days of smartphones, when everybody is carrying around an HD camcorder in their pocket, assuming, of course, they're wearing pants, you know, these students bravely push forward with honoring Cal Berkeley's tradition and proceed with the naked run. I thought this was a fun contrast, frankly, because we went to Cal Berkeley straight from BYU. Now at BYU, there's an expectation that students will always wear modest attire. Cal Berkeley, occasionally they shed their attire completely and run around without it. Now, there are a lot of smart people in California, but the guy who came up with the naked run at Berkeley was an absolute genius, don't you think? So that's it, guys, a look at our visit to the University of California, Berkeley. As I've mentioned before on this channel, I do have a background in comedy. And yes, over the years, I've indulged in a few light jokes about the state of California, mostly directed at the attorneys who are so busy in that state. You know, Elon Musk said something really interesting about California when he said, California is kind of like a sports team that had a very long winning streak. It's hard to sustain any winning streak for a very long period of time. California kind of did that, and now, you know, it's maybe struggling a little bit to adjust to some growing pains, shall we say. But we're all rooting for California, because we love you, California, and we want nothing but the best for you. Where are we headed next? Well, we're heading all the way back to the south and east, to the Iron Bowl, where we experienced one of the craziest football moments that I have ever seen in my life. It's definitely the craziest moment that I've ever witnessed in person inside a stadium. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been an episode of Long Long Honeymoon, the Loloho College Town Tour. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe.
So here's a look at our $65 parking spot. But hey, isn't it beautiful? It'll do. Hopefully we don't get a ticket. Who knew? Charlie Brown's teacher is now working at the gas station. Wah, 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 wah.